It's the 5 count. The 5 count.
Cheer.
I'm Cab Manning.
I'm Charles DeWalnut.
This is all purely speculation.
It's the 5 count.
It's the 5 count. I'm Cab Manning, and this is the show that gives you the top 5 stories that happened this week in pro wrestling. First off, this was a pay-per-view. This was... what was this even called? This is such a terrible pay-per-view.
Battleground.
I feel like Alex Riley. I don't know the name of this pay-per-view. Let's get back to basics. It's a pay-per-view, so come on. Yes. Good to be back for another fireside chat with the Lingus Mafia, fans of the 5 count. Let's go over this Battleground pay-per-view, if you will. It was better than last year's pay-per-view because if you remember the main event of last year, Big Show punched 2 guys in the face in a main event, and this is how their pay-per-view ended. People bought this for $55. We weren't one of them. There's the internet. This is a great thing. Al Gore, he invented it. It's called the internet. So, there was a pre-show. Mr. Walnuts, what was on the pre-show?
First match was Fandango versus Adam Rose.
The great Adam Rose with another appearance on television. Whoever said he's in a doghouse is retarded. He's fabulous. I'm telling you. I'm going to do a bit one of these days where I run around the ring like a homo like him. It's great. Now we got Summer Rae and old thickie Layla. She fucking thick. That's the kind of woman that Cat likes. He like them thick thighs. He comes out with his head gets a little bit thinner every time he's with these women. So, of course, now Fandango's on this streak of losing where, it's constantly. He loses because Summer and Layla are practically lesbos.
Cold?
I don't even know why I have a fire. I'm sweating in this joint. So now he of course is going to lose every time. So as we saw even on Raw, God forbid Zack Ryder beat Fandango. Hell. And they say Adam Rose in a doghouse? Listen. Next match on the docket was...
the Funkadactyls explode.
They explode. Jey Uso, he's thrilled to hear that. Now, they're finally on their own, and poor Tyler Breeze is all I can think of. Because now, Miz has stolen Tyler Breeze's gimmick. Yep. And so now it's Cameron. And I don't mean blowing policemen to get out of tickets. She's looking in her compact, kissing herself, and her hair, it must grow quickly, because all of a sudden the blonde is like halfway down. It's amazing to me. That's unbelievable. They give Cameron the win because, listen, Naomi has talent, and Cameron doesn't, so they're like, yeah, do something with it, push it. If she loses right away, what are they going to do with her? On to the real pay-per-view.
The Usos versus the Wyatts. 2 out of 3 falls.
Fabulous match. You've never seen in the history of wrestling that anyone has ever won 2 falls in a row. Never happened. Never will happen. It should happen one of these days, but just to shock us. The guy looked like a real slut. It'll happen to Sandow or something, this poor bastard. We'll get to him later. Wyatts and Usos don't have a bad match ever.
No.
The Wyatts are so good. Well, one of the Wyatts is always really good. They both can't eat anything with this mustache of theirs that goes into their food and other, certain tacos, fish tacos. The red-headed slob, this guy, Rowan. How soon before he doesn't have a job, folks? Oh. Listen, you all over there like you don't agree with this. All he does is sweat and stand there with his head sideways with a mask. Harper is a monster, and eventually it'll be like, oh, here's a new character. Who is this guy? Because it'll be Harper with a shaved face and his hair's short. Head. Yeah, and maybe they'll GLH number 9, that bald spot on his head. It'd be great. Usos for the win. I say Us, you say oh. And Renee screws it up completely with the backstage after show when they say, oh, we're going to do it together. When we say Us, you say oh. Ready? And they go, Us, and she yells Us at the same time, and she's like, oh. I'm like, get off my television. Next match.
The next match we had AJ Lee versus Paige.
You know what? They could almost have jungle fever because one is so tan, and the other one is nut white.
What?
you know, the macadamias are white.
Gotcha.
Thank you. So, of course, AJ wins this, which we know, and we know that it's hot in here. My God, who lit the fire in here? Who lit a fire under my ass? You know, AJ was going to win this. And this is the only time people will be cheering CM Punk, which they should, because this is the only time he watches.
Right.
During her match, maybe. He's probably got girls at the house, right? He's like, I know she's not coming home because I can see her on the television. Punk ain't gonna... How long is he gonna be married?
He's an old pro.
He is an old vet. And some of the women he would be with would probably classify him as a salty vet. You do the math there, folks. Later on Raw, of course, we had Paige flip out and turn heel. I say she's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Bad girl?
She hot. She ornery. She hot like this fire. I think she's better as a bad guy. Maybe she's gonna go vampire on this whole deal, and you know, she could be. Maybe she'll put on sparkle glitter and be Edward, and she can go in the sunlight. What kind of vampire goes in the sunlight in the first place? Get out of my world. Well, what is the next one?
Rusev versus Jack Swagger.
This is something. Man, they steam me up when he's rushing. They shoot a plane out of the sky. They wave a flag around and they put a thumb. Man, I had a bet, which. We had a bet on our podcast, and listen, I still won the bet because I have to give this fat pig some nachos and contribute to a cause. Because I lost, I said Swagger would win this. And man, it was close too. He cheated, he bumped his head, he got a knot on his head like it was Popeye or the Flintstones. You see this big horn on his head. So,
it was a count out, but nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a count out. And you said clean in the middle. I take a little bit of a moral victory with this, which will go to SummerSlam, which we're going to go a double Fat Boy special on this one. Next match, please.
There was a segment where Seth came out and wanted his arm raised.
Yes, this is quite the segment. This is almost the best part of the pay-per-view. Ambrose comes to say, okay, I'm going to beat the piss out. He beats him up in the ring, and even outside they have him in the car, hiding from old Colby, old Blackie Tylerson, if you will.
Somehow he got the keys to his car and
he got in the trunk.
In his trunk.
You know, all Seth would have to do is make sure the car is secure and push down that trunk. Ambrose screwed. They got that child push button in the back, maybe, or something. I don't know. I have an older car. If you're in that trunk, you're going down to the lake, for the most part. Next one.
Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt.
We were right on this one. We didn't say it on the show, because guess what? Completely forgot about this match. We're pros. We're pros in here. So we both thought he would win, because he'll get the first one, now he'll lose the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And we'll get it at SummerSlam again, Wyatt, Jericho. And the match was actually boring to me.
Yeah.
I was bored by it. Nothing happened. There was like... I don't know if there's ring rust Jericho Jones over here, and my God, he's how old? 40-something years old? He's starting to get a sleeve now? Really? He's sleeving up the tattoos now? And it looks like that one on the bicep.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's Smash territory. It looks like Smash's tattoo where he would hide it with an arm patch. What else we got?
Battle Royal for the Intercontinental title.
Man, of all winners, The Miz wins this Intercontinental title. Was this last year? It was Miz and Barrett back and forth 500 times? Great. It could have been Bo Dallas, which would have been great. And it should have been Cesaro.
Right.
But it's Miz, who was vacant from the match, which he got me, because you text me and say, Miz is going to win. I was like, shit, Miz isn't even in it. Oh yeah, he went on the bottom rope. Fun times. I was rooting for Sheamus at the end because of the unification. Get rid of that damn U.S. belt.
Who needs it?
Who needs you? Get lost. Go ahead.
Four-way match. Main event.
The main event. This is what we all waited for. We all paid our hard-earned $10, except for you slobs that live over across the pond or up north. The poor man's United States, you know. Lana, she's sitting in Russia. She pissed off. She can't get the network. So that's why she has to travel with everybody. For what? Who in the hell thought Cena wouldn't win this? We got idiots on Twitter. Roman Reigns. Get the hell out of here. Roman Reigns wins at Battleground. Never mind, there's giant events coming up. But, and then we saw the poster for Cena and Brock.
We saw the commercial. They had the commercial.
They have the
leaked
commercial
2 days.
leaked. No, Reigns, they're throwing us off. Listen, sometimes a fuck up is a fuck up, and they don't really mean, you know, to screw it up, and it's not, oh, let's swerve everybody and put this out there so we'll screw it. No, you fucked up. You done fucked up. And then Triple H the next night on Raw going, I wonder who I'm going to have for this. You fucked up. You fucked up. So, that's all that happened this horrible week. And God, you want to talk about horrible, we could talk about TNA, but we'll discuss that on a podcast. So, go to the5count.com if you want to see more of our stuff. You'll see our podcast link up there. Go to iTunes, type in Lingus Mafia. You'll want to listen to the podcast, because only 4 of you are watching this show in the first place. Let's face it, you and your friend next to you, and the real doll that you guys bought because you're wrestling fans. So there ain't no girl next to you. It's your halfway bald-headed friend with a shirt that stinks like piss. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.
It's the 5 count. The 5 count.
Cheer.
I'm Cav Manning.
I'm Toasty Walnut.
This is all purely speculation.
It's the 5 count. It's the 5 count.
What the fuck is this?
What you say?
Here's me, Twitcher.
What you say?